Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to this audio storytelling of my my novel, The Mist Vamp, from our Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch series. We are starting this audiobook here. Just a little disclaimer about my audiobooks. Don't expect them to be perfect. Maybe one day they'll be on Audible and some really fun person. Maybe I'll be reading them and they'll have all sorts of cool, background sounds. But right now we're doing what we can with what we have. So just, settle into it is the best I can say if you're coming here. Put your headphones on or take me outside with you on nature walk and see what magic envelops and surrounds you as you interact with these stories. And I will do my best to be a fun audio reteller. But hey, if I interject some stuff here and there that I think will help bring more magic into the story, then so be it. And that is what it is. That's how we roll here at TLC for this whole. So this is the Mist Vamp, Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch. This is chapter 1 through 3. The dedication on the book is to all the spirits of Tessa Loch. Thank you for the magic and most of all the fun, because that's what's most important. This is chapter 1, Will You Follow? As she walked home from work, Jenna couldn't help but notice it. A deep fog had already drawn itself in and up around her. She was perplexed as everywhere else she felt sunny and clear. Where was this strange mist coming from? It enclosed around her like a warm, cozy blanket. She heard footsteps around her, but it seemed as if no one saw her. She smiled and said good afternoon, but no one answered back. The mist drenched her skin, and her pulse quickened. Behind her left ear she felt a presence, but no one was there. The mist drew her out away from town and towards the tor. She hesitated. She wasn't ready for a climb, but the mist drew her onward and upward. She climbed, and even when the wind whipped around her, the mist remained. She was breathless, not understanding why she was climbing, but feeling compelled to do so. The mist spoke to her on her skin. It slinked its way amongst the tendrils of hair on her forehead, and it silently urged her on. She felt compelled to follow it up the steps and towards the tor. She needed to know what had drawn this mist to her. Jenna still wasn't sure. She reached the top of the tor and stood catching her breath. The wind whispered her name, yet she still saw no one. The mist touched her skin and it felt like magical velvet, yet she still didn't understand what she was doing. She felt compelled to lay down on the soft grass. As she did, the mist settled over her, and she drifted into a light sleep. No one could see her now. The mist around her would make sure of that. And in her dreams, Jenna traveled. Chapter 2, Tessa Loch. As Jenna dreamed, her form began to take shape in an astral realm far above her own world. She didn't know this place, and her astral body quivered at the feeling of it, the possibility that lie within the spaces here. She wanted to explore, to know more. She wanted her freedom, and so she stepped down into the space and waited. Suddenly, before her eyes, a new dawn formed. Light and shadow intertwined, and she saw the outline of a lake, large and heavily shrouded in mist. The vamp transformed again. She waited as a barge of sorts with wispy boatsmen pulled alongside the shore. They beckoned her into the boat. She again felt ready to explore, but just as her foot set inside the barge, she trembled. What if she didn't like this space? She remembered that she was in control and set her foot firmly inside the barge, moving to take a seat. The oarsmen set off, pushing against the shore and moving the barge swiftly along the waves coming up around the boat. Jenna shivered and willed herself a cape. The mists thickened and the barge edged up against the skirts of fog and light rain. The bargeman looked at her knowingly, yet Jenna didn't understand. Not yet, anyway. She sat there wondering what was required of her. Then the vamp transformed around her, whispering in her left ear that it was her power, her light that was needed now. She felt the fog tap at her mind. A door opened and she peeked inside. The ancient ways gathered around her. She felt power coming from her hands as she lifted them. Ancient words and symbols flowed from her lips and through her hands, and in the saying and praying, the mists parted. The job done, the barge entered slightly through the portal door, and Jenna wondered what the heck she had just done. The barge settled silently against the shore, and a hooded figure, staff in hand, waited for her to disembark. "What took you so long?" the older man's gruff voice asked of her. She didn't know how to answer, so she just bowed her head. "Well, let's get on with it, girl," the Merlin invoked, and as Jenna followed, she could feel the transformation start. Chapter 3, Wicked Ways. As Jenna and Merlin bonded over mugwort tea, the mist vamp, blown about by westerly winds, made his way back to the Tor. Rutger O'Malley was just finishing his shift at the Drunken Spoon Tavern. He headed outside into the snow that had fallen that morning and looked up at the Tor. Good day for a climb, he thought, to no one in particular. He just said goodbye to his longest relationship ever. 5 months with Candy Lavert was more than he could stand. He didn't think she was the one, at least not for him. A strange mist enshrouded him, and he went home and changed into his hiking clothes. Strangely, the mist was still around his home when he came back outside. It followed him and gave him a gentle nudge in the direction of the Tor. It's a long climb, Rutger thought, but what the heck? He readied himself, and as he started to make the climb up, strange whispers could be heard in the wind. Go this way. Now go that way. And he followed, more curious. What was this all about? Did he believe in magic? Well, sometimes, but right now he was feeling less than magical. He felt light-headed, like he needed to sleep, but he willed himself onwards and upwards. He had to persevere. He made his way to the top and stood marveling at the view. He took a sip of hot tea he had packed in his canister and pulled a sandwich out of his backpack. He was hungry. Full of pastrami and rye and feeling sleepier, he lay back on the lawn. He heard footsteps and felt a hand on his shoulder. Get up, lad, the voice of Uther Pendragon commanded. We've got work to do. What the heck, Rutger thought to himself, but he felt compelled to rise. I brought your horse around, Uther said with chagrin. You should take better care of falling asleep out here like this, he said to the younger Rutger. Yes, sire, Rutger heard himself say. What kind of weird dream is this, he thought to himself, the astrals playing tricks with his mind. We've only got a little more time before we have to meet the Arthur, Uther said, patting the back of the horse that he held out to Rutger. Rutger got up on the sleek stallion and felt himself encased in heavy armor. The ladies will be waiting, Uther said, glad to be seeing his one true love again. The battle had been long and arduous, and he was going home for a few days. Word had been sent ahead, and his queen was to be there waiting for his return. Rutger felt so weird. Where was he, and where was he going, and who was this man? His lord and higher-ranking countryman, Uther Pendragon, wasn't sure about this knight. He could be a little ungrounded at times, but he was his best fighter. The two knights, one older and more experienced, and the other clearly having some sort of astral travel journey, shooed their horses forward. This time he would see this woman, but not before he woke up from this stupid dream.